Welcome back, tribe. Look, greatest invention the European Union ever had. Anyways, today's episode, guys, is going to be on dating feminists because I had the funniest email that I remember to pull up. And I read a comment on one of the posts saying that somebody was dating a feminist and it ended up going absolutely sideways for them. So this guy wrote to me and he says, need your advice. Should I keep dating a feminist? I was like, hey, man, big fan of your channel. Your videos have helped me tremendously, especially this past year when I was really struggling with confidence and approaching girls. I'm 22, living out in California, red flag. And until recently, I hadn't dated anyone for over a few years. I finally met a girl and we've been dating for about 2 months now. But there's something that's really making me question things. She openly identifies as a feminist and often brings up her beliefs during our conversations. At first, it wasn't a huge issue, but lately I'm noticing some red flags that you talk about on your channel. For example, she tends to challenge me on small decisions, like where we eat or what we do on dates, almost as if she's testing me constantly. Sometimes it feels like she wants to prove she's more independent or stronger than me. Okay. It gets tiring. He says another thing is that she's really vocal about toxic masculinity and always seems suspicious or critical when I try to take the lead or act more dominant. Even in simple things like paying for dinner, Jesus, or opening doors for her. I try to explain that this is just how I express love, but she pushes back saying it's outdated. I'm torn because despite all this, she's attractive. And here's the linchpin in all this. She's hot. And I'm honestly scared to go back to being alone again. Do you see what men do? What did I tell you guys? The power of those wet sugar walls. It took me forever to finally get with someone after being single these past few years. And the idea of starting over feels exhausting. This is the sunk cost fallacy I talk to you guys about all the time. But he says, at the same time, it feels like I'm constantly compromising who I am to avoid arguments or debates. This is a walking on eggshells thing. I really respect your opinion. Thought I'd ask. Should I stay or try to work this out, or am I setting myself up for more trouble? Thanks. We'll say Jay to protect your identity. Jay. Well, oh my God. This one will go out to you, Jay, and everybody like you who's been mentioning that they've been, or at least tried to date these kinds of women. The truth is, dating self-identified feminist is a fucking minefield because modern feminism morphed into something completely different. It just literally poisons relationships inside and out. As you've heard from our boy Jay here, you probably heard all those sales pitches that feminists make better partners, especially if you're living in California, that they have better sex or that real men date feminists. We've all heard that one before. It's pure marketing bullshit designed to shame you into compliance. The reality is that men who date hardcore feminists always end up regretting it, just like he's about to. And here's why. I'm going to start listing these things out for you guys. Power struggles are one. Constant, exhausting power struggles too. This violates the core understanding that men and women are fundamentally different, with complementary but distinct natures. You should be two pieces that come into a whole, not two wholes competing for dominance. And healthy relationships need polarity. Someone leads, someone follows. Roles can be flexible, but complementary energy creates the attraction here. That's just basic human psychology, guys. Men are naturally wired to be the protectors and providers, and women are naturally wired to nurture and support. We know this already. Fighting against these biological realities creates that unnecessary friction I mentioned. But, modern feminism trains women to see male leadership as the patriarchy, to interpret masculine energy as toxic and view traditional dynamics as oppressive. And the result is every goddamn decision becomes a battle. Where to eat dinner, how to manage finances, who initiates sex, all becomes political statements rather than practical matters. You think I'm exaggerating? You probably do. Try suggesting a traditional date night to a feminist. Watch how a simple dinner invitation becomes a dissertation on gender roles and shit. Expectations. Why should you always drive? Why do you expect me to shave my legs? Why shouldn't we split the bill exactly 50-50? Nothing is simple, bro. Nothing is even easy. Everything is analyzed through the lens of power dynamics. It's fucking exhausting. And sex becomes a political battleground too. Oh my God, this one's gonna get you. And not in a fun way. The feminist approach to sex often will emphasize constant verbal consent, checking in repeatedly, treating each other like fragile vessels that might break in the wrong move. It's so stupid. M'lady, may I turn you over for doggy? Sign here, please, if you consent. What the fuck? This shit kills spontaneity. It destroys sexual tension and makes natural escalation nearly impossible. Great sex requires flow, chemistry, unspoken understanding, not a corporate negotiation with consent forms and verbal checkpoints every fucking 30 seconds. The most passionate relationships have an element of surrender, both partners giving themselves to the moment, to their desires, to each other. Modern feminism makes that shit nearly impossible. And double standards, oh boy, there's a lot of them. They're actually everywhere in your relationship. She can comment on your body, but you can't comment on hers. She can criticize traditional masculine traits, and you better not say a word about feminine ones. And she'll expect emotional labor from you. But if you expect anything traditionally feminine, you're a fucking oppressor. She can have girls' nights and exclusive female spaces, but you wanting male bonding time, that's toxic masculinity or exclusionary behavior. You exist in a constant state of walking on eggshells, bro, carefully monitoring every word, every action, every thought, constantly afraid of being labeled as problematic. Is this starting to sound like a fucking nightmare yet? And that self-censorship kills authentic connection. You can't be real with someone when you're constantly filtering yourself, when you're performing rather than existing. The fundamental issue in this is that modern feminism often doesn't seek equality. It seeks female advantage while maintaining traditional male responsibilities. It's sexual strategy disguised as political movement. She wants equal pay, but also expects you to pay for dates. What? She wants equal representation in leadership roles, but also expects you to be the primary provider. And then she'll rage against gender roles, but still wants you to kill spiders, change tires, and handle home security. What the fuck? This have your cake and eat it too approach perfectly aligns with the truth about women's dualistic mating strategy. They want alpha traits for attraction, strength, confidence, leadership, but they want the beta traits for provisioning, like sacrifice, resource sharing, loyalty. Modern feminism attempts to secure both without offering traditional feminine value in return. So dating a feminist means accepting a relationship where the rules constantly change, where you're always playing defense and the game is rigged from the start. And then you'll say, but what about the emotional side? Surely feminist women are more emotionally intelligent and supportive. Surprise, motherfucker. The reality is something entirely different. Many feminist women have been trained to see men as potential oppressors rather than partners, to interpret well-meaning actions through the lens of patriarchal intent, whatever the fuck that means, and to find problematic behavior in normal human interaction. This will create a relationship where you're guilty until proven innocent all the time, where your motivations are constantly questioned, and when you're always on trial. Isn't that insane? Why did you phrase it that way? What did you really mean by that? Are you aware of how that perpetuates harmful norms? Is that worth the sugar walls? Seriously? Your words will get twisted, your intentions will be reinterpreted, and your actions get analyzed for hidden meanings you never even intended. It's psychological warfare disguised as enlightenment. And it's deeply, profoundly draining, no matter how sugary the walls are. And you want to know the truth about dating feminists? It's a relationship where you constantly apologize for things you didn't even do wrong, where you're responsible for all the actions of all the men throughout history, and your natural masculine traits are pathologized rather than appreciated. Fuck. And then there's the boss babe phenomenon, the corporate feminism that's infected modern dating like a virus. These women bring their workplace behavior home. Their competitive, domineering, masculine energy doesn't switch off after 5 p.m. Ask any guy that's dated a masculine woman like this. They're perpetually in girl boss mode. They'll order you around like an employee, speaking to you like you're in a board meeting, treating relationship disagreements like corporate negotiations. I'm a strong, independent woman who doesn't need a man. Isn't just a fucking slogan, it's a warning label. These masculine energy women have fundamentally compromised their feminine essence in pursuit of corporate success. They've been rewarded for developing male traits in the workplace, and now they can't turn them off in their relationships. And the result? It's a woman who acts like a man but expects to be treated like a woman, who competes with you rather than compliments you, and approaches intimacy like a power play rather than a surrender. It's a psychological and emotional mess that leaves both partners perpetually unsatisfied. In family matters, that's where things get messy as fuck. Feminist partners often have strained relationships with traditional family structures, especially their daddies and other male members in the family. Your dad makes an old school comment at dinner, World War III just started. Your brother enjoys hunting or traditionally masculine hobbies, that's problematic now too. And your male friends talk sports or cars or anything conventionally masculine, that's a toxic environment that you're in, can't be there, not allowed. You're constantly put in a position of mediator. You're defending your family to your girlfriend, defending your girlfriend to your family, always caught in the middle of ideological warfare. Holiday gatherings become ideological battlegrounds. Family traditions get labeled as patriarchal relics. The simple joy of family connection gets sacrificed on the altar of political correctness. Worth it? Not even close, dude. The public performance aspect is brutal too. Dating a feminist means your relationship is never yours. It's just a political statement, a public demonstration of her value. It's like a billboard advertising her progressive credentials. You see, I'm a feminist and I have a successful relationship with this man. Every social media post about your relationship includes some commentary on gender dynamics. Every party becomes an opportunity to showcase how evolved your relationship is. Every disagreement potentially becomes public fodder for her feminist circle to analyze. And boy, oh boy, will their eyes be on you. Don't make a wrong step, Timmy, because that might be your ass going to jail. Uh-oh, false accusations. You know how that goes. And your private relationship becomes political theater. And you're expected to play your assigned role without complaint, my friend. The constant competition is exhausting too. This directly contradicts the understanding that men and women aren't meant to compete with each other. They're meant to complement each other. Many feminist women view relationships through a lens of competitive equality rather than cooperative partnership. It's not about building something together. It's about keeping a damn score, making sure neither person has more power, influence, or benefit than the other. That shit is exhausting. Who does more chores? Who makes more money? Who gets more free time? All tallied and tracked like your rival corporations rather than loving partners. This bean counting approach kills the generosity that makes relationships thrive. The natural desire to give without expecting immediate return. That's the joy of making your partner happy, simply because you care about them. Instead, everything becomes a transaction, a negotiation, and a zero-sum game where any advantage you gain must mean she's losing something. You can never win. And the masculine woman believes relationships are battlegrounds for equality rather than complementary partnerships. That LinkedIn profile might as well be your dating profile. Strategic thought leader and disruptive innovator. It sounds impressive in the boardroom, but in your relationship, that shit is a fucking prison. Do you want to date a colleague or do you want to date a woman? And the identity politics never stop, man. Dating a feminist means constantly hearing about your privilege, your male fragility, your unconscious bias over and over again, not as observations about society in general, as personal indictments of you specifically. Your individual identity gets erased, replaced by your demographic characteristics. You're not John who works hard, who loves dogs and makes amazing pancakes. You're a straight white male with all the original sin that identity carries in feminist ideology. Your personal struggles get dismissed. Your individual challenges get minimized and your unique experiences get invalidated because you have privilege. Lost your job? That's nothing compared to the struggles women face in the workplace. Are you feeling depressed? Try experiencing the life as a woman for one day. Facing a health crisis, bro? At least you're taken seriously by doctors, unlike women. No matter what you're going through, it's filtered through the lens of identity politics rather than empathy. The relationship becomes fundamentally asymmetrical. Her struggles are systemic injustices that require your full support, while your struggles are just predictable complaints of the privileged. Unbelievable. How the fuck is that a healthy dynamic for either person? And you ever notice how these strong, independent women are mysteriously silent about their strength and independence when the check arrives? Because not all of them do the 50-50 bullshit. And when the car breaks down, when something goes bump in the night, when life gets hard and someone needs sacrifice, that's because modern feminism isn't about equality. It's about maximizing the female advantage while minimizing the female responsibility. I told you guys, it's female sexual strategy dressed up as a political ideology. The boss babe wants to command in the boardroom and be pampered in the bedroom. She wants to compete with men all day, then be provided by them all night. It's horseshit. And they wonder why men are checking out of the dating market in record numbers, why men are increasingly seeing these arrangements as raw deals that benefit women at men's expense. And that's the fundamental issue. Modern feminism often doesn't view men as equally human. It views them as defective women who need correction, as potential predators requiring constant surveillance, as beneficiaries of unearned advantage who must perpetually atone for their existence. What kind of shit is that? And how can you build genuine intimacy with someone who begins from that premise, who sees your nature as fundamentally flawed somehow? That's crazy. You can't, man. Not in any sustainable way. The men who successfully date feminists usually do so by becoming perfect allies. That's adopting the language of the movement, constantly performing the role of enlightened male who has transcended his toxic nature. It's not a fucking relationship. It's a hostage situation with Stockholm syndrome. It's guys that rather throw away their entire identity just because the sugar walls are nice, warm, and full of honey. It's insanity. These men subsume their authentic selves to gain approval. They apologize for existing in male form, and they'll perform constant penance for their original sin of being men. A little monkey at the circus performing. Is that what you want to be? To live your one precious life walking on eggshells? To be in a relationship where you're always at fault by default? Or do you want a relationship based on mutual appreciation? The truth is simple but politically incorrect. Men who date hardcore feminists usually end up miserable, psychologically diminished, emotionally drained, sexually frustrated, and walking on eggshells in their own damn homes. Life is too short for that bullshit. You deserve someone who likes you as you are, who sees your masculine energy as a feature, not a bug. So next time you see feminists prominently displayed in a dating profile, understand what you're potentially signing up for. It's not a partnership of equals, but a re-education camp where you're both prisoner and tuition payer. Don't let society bully you. You're not afraid of strong women. You're not intimidated by female success. And you just want a relationship that's a sanctuary, not a fucking battlefield. It's that simple. And that's something modern feminism will never provide you. It's no wonder why so many successful men are looking overseas for partners, guys. They're not seeking submissive doormats. They're seeking feminine women who actually like men. Women who view relationships as complementary rather than power struggles. Women who haven't been poisoned by the toxic ideology that men are the enemy. While American boss babes are posting inspirational quotes on Instagram and wondering where all the good men gone, those men are booking flights to countries where femininity is still celebrated, where being a loving partner isn't considered oppression, and men and women still work together instead of against each other. These kinds of men aren't running from you, strong ladies. They're running toward feminine ones. And the Western dating market is feeling their absence, believe me. Good luck, strong independent queen. You're going to need it because the future says the statistics aren't bright for you. And your mental health already is saying no. But who am I? Anyways, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, let me know in the comments below. Shout outs to Jay for that email and the other guys that had the balls to even ask this kind of question. I hope you got some valuable knowledge from today's topic. As usual, boys, appreciate you guys tuning in. Sign up to the private community if you haven't. We'll be discussing this topic on there. We do calls every day of the week almost. And love to have you on. Chat, share some wisdom, and get after it. Take care, everybody.